everyone, or chào buhay everyone in Vietnamese. We are greeting. My name is Rikamiam Kalimag.
I'm the second reporter, Mark Camaro.
Mingel Romeo, the third reporter.
Charlotte Cabaldo, the last reporter.
And the country that we're going to discuss is the country of Vietnam. So our objective is to comprehensively explore the trajectory and impact of English in the country through an examination of its historical introduction, current status, linguistic features, educational implementation, and societal attitudes culminating in a detailed analysis of language policies, proficiency of programs, and literary contributions, leading to a conclusive summary of the English language role and influence within the nation. May you sit down. So, when and who introduced or brought the language in the country of Vietnam? May I call somebody to read this? Simon.
Vietnamese belongs to the northern Viet Muong cluster of the Vietic branch spoken by the Vietic people. Originating from northern Vietnam, the language was first recorded in the Tap New Temple inscription. Dating from the early 13th century AD, the inscription was carved on a stone still. It combined Chinese character used in the Vietnamese traditional writing system and an archaic form of the Chu Nom writing system of vernacular Vietnamese language using Chinese characters.
Thank you for reading. So, English was introduced to Vietnam during the mid-19th to 20th century by French. And we all know that during the French colonial period, the English was introduced to Vietnam during or earlier than 21st century. The second one is how English language spread in the country. So, Jonah, can you read this?
During the colonial period, Vietnam was under French rule, leading the limited English influence. However, in the post-colonial era, global economic integration and the rise of English as a global lingua franca spurred interest in learning the language. Vietnam's opening to the global market in the 1980s further accelerated the adoption of English for international communication.
Thank you. So we all know that in the 20th century and 21st century, it is the rising of internet communication and information technology. So through this platform, the English spread and recognizing the advantages of English proficiency began to pursue English language. So since our one member is still in hospital now, we're going to skip the part. And Mark, your next.
Next are the programs for improving the English proficiency in Vietnam. Some of these are the English language teaching or ELT and government-sponsored scholarship for language studies. These programs are directed towards the younger learners to helping them develop the proficiency in talking and speaking in English better. The next are the policies affecting the English language use. Due to globalization and Vietnam's integration into the global economy, the Vietnamese government implemented language policies to regulate the use of English and promote proficiency in the language. First one is educational policies. English is taught as a compulsory subject in schools. Its emphasis lies on the development of English language skills from an early age. Second is business and economic policies. Due to international trade and investment, the Vietnam government has encouraged the use of English in business communication. This includes providing resources for English language training and promotion of bilingualism. Third one is language planning and promotion. The country has engaged in the promotion of multilingualism while acknowledging the importance of English as a global lingual grammar, along the efforts to standardize the usage of English language in official documents, signage, and public communication. Next report.
So, good morning, sir. Good morning, classmate. I am Angel Bromia, the third reporter. So, we will tackle about the distinct features of English language in Vietnam, such as grammar and pronunciation. So, in terms of pronunciation, Vietnamese speakers often encounters difficulties in pronouncing certain English sounds. This is because Vietnamese and English have different phonetic systems, and Vietnamese speakers of English might substitute the word like rice and lice. This is because Vietnamese does not have distinct R and L sounds. So in terms of grammar, Vietnamese speakers have different grammatical structures. So Vietnamese follows subject, verb, object, and English typically follows subject, verb, object. But this difference can sound unnatural to the Vietnamese speakers. So for example, Vietnamese speakers of English might say, I go to school instead of I go to school. So these errors will result misunderstanding or miscommunication with the native English speakers. So next is we'll tackle about the attitude of people towards English and Vietnam. Actually, there were five periods of Vietnamese history showing the attitude of people towards English and Vietnam has evolved over in a period of time. So the attitude. So there were five periods of Vietnamese history showing the attitudes of people. Number one, we have pre-colonial era. Please just take note of this because this is not included in the PowerPoint. Number one, we have pre-colonial era. So during the arrival, so before the arrival of European colonizers, English had no significant presence in Vietnam. So Vietnamese and Chinese were the dominant language used for communication and education. So number two, we have colonial era, also known as French Indochina. It is in the late 19th to mid-20th century. So during this colonial period, French was the primary language used or taught in schools, and English had limited presence in Vietnam. So mainly among the small group of elite individuals who had accessed the English education. And number three, we have post-independence era. So post-independence era, it is in the mid-20th century. So after Vietnam gained their independence from French colonial rule in 1954, there was a shift in their
policy. So Vietnamese became the official language used in official settings and even in the education. So English, along with the other countries, English along with the other foreign countries, English along with the other languages was not widely taught or used during this time. So number 4, we have Goimoy reforms. It is in 1986 onwards. So during this, to make it short, Vietnam implemented Goimoy reforms to open up the country in international foreign investment. So during this time, to make it short, English is seen as a valuable tool for communication and English is seen as a valuable tool for language of business. And number 5, we have present day. The present day is so English was now become more widely accepted in Vietnam and embraced in Vietnam. So English is now seen as a valuable tool for advancement of career opportunities and communicating and facilitating in international global community.
Okay, the next one is local author from Vietnam writing in English. So, one notable local author from Vietnam who writes in English is Ocean Vuong. Ocean Vuong is a Vietnamese American poet, essayist, and novelist. His poetry known for its raw honesty, lyrical beauty, and depth of emotion. His work also touched upon themes of love, trauma, family, and cultural heritage poems such as Someday I Love You, Ocean Vuong, On the Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, showcase his ability to evoke powerful emotions and invite inspections. The next one is the summary and conclusion. May I call on Nathan to read this one?
During the Vietnam War, English became more widely used as a result of interactions with American soldiers and aid workers. After the war, English continued to grow in importance as Vietnam opened up to the global economy and sought to integrate into international community. In contemporary Vietnam, English is considered as an essential skill for education, employment, and social mobility. The Vietnamese government has recognized the significance of English proficiency and has implemented policies to promote English language at all levels of education. As a result, there has been a surge in demand for English language education, leading to the establishment of numerous language schools and centers across the country.
Thank you, Nathan. So, English became widely used as a result of interactions with American soldiers and aid workers. So after the war, English continued to grow in importance as Vietnam opened up to the global economy and sought to integrate into the international community. And the language has become deeply engaged in Vietnamese society, shaping educational properties and career prospects for millions of individuals. As Vietnam continues to engage with the global community, English proficiency will likely remain a key asset for its citizens and institutions. That's all for our report, and thank you for listening.
So, wala si Miss Bugari.
Yes, sir, nasa hospital naman po.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations. Any question to Lulu? Paki-remark na doon sa attendance na nasa hospital. Oh, masiro doon sa Tikwan.
Yes, Isabel?
Why is it the English language is not highly accepted before?
Actually, yung the English language is not highly accepted before in Vietnam because they are very, when it talks about the language and to their traditions kasi parang hindi pa sila totally open to learn more. Parang may limit lang yung kung hanggang saan yung kaya nilang aralan just like in China. Kasi before hindi pa talaga totally open. But now kasi parang mas nagiging fair and at the same time they can use the language to protect their country as well, knowing na maraming nagaganap na mga words. Any other questions?
Ano na yung rank nila ngayon?
Sir?
Rank ng Vietnam?
57.
57. Mabago pa sila. Asia yun ha? Asia. It's in Asia. So if you are planning to go abroad and teach English, open ang Vietnam. Meron tayong dalawang AB English doon, nagtayo sila ng sarili nilang school ng English. Kasi I think $150 million ang in-invest ng Vietnam with regards to English education. Kaya kung gusto niyo yumaman, punta kayo doon. Mura pa ang bigas doon, 16 pesos.
Napaka-open
Tapos yung bigas nila, binibili natin. Magandang Vietnam. It's a prospect of many English teachers. Alright, so kung wala na, thank you very much. You've done well.